connections, build connections, see where their connections lie. We all do the KWL charts, or or we brainstorm and just different ideas about things that we already know, but we don't really talk about the why behind the reason we're doing that in our classrooms. And so that's what we're going to talk about right now, just for a minute. So if you could take just about a minute or two to read both of these, and then we'll read out in just a second. But just internalize just for a minute and read the 2 boxes on the screen for me. Thumbs up if you're good, thumbs down if you need another minute or so. Great. Do I have anybody that would like to volunteer to read that first box for me? Yes, please.
Recent research indicates that the brain processes information more effectively through patterns and connections than through fragmentation. The more the knowledge is unified, the better the brain functions, being 1997.
Thank you very much. Do I have a volunteer for the second one? Go ahead.
Learning is built on the process of detecting and making patterns. It is necessarily new knowledge to existing patterns in our brains. New learning, new brain structures in the form of increased dendrites must be connected to what the learner already knows, existing brain structures. As teachers, we help students to identify ways to fit new information into their existing knowledge patterns, which will aid in building dendrites and synaptic connections.
Awesome, thank you. If we all will grab one more sticky note for me. And on that, if you could just write a couple of aha moments that you personally had when we were reading these 2 different pieces of text. So what was something that really kind of stuck out to you that you maybe hadn't have thought of before, or is new information to you that you really connected with? As you're finishing up your thoughts, what I'd like for you to do is if you would talk to your table partners and kind of share out some of those aha moments that you had.
You don't have to get our knowledge about a certain type of oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Until she said it, I was like,
Right.
oh, okay.
Right.
On the horizon, I was like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
I see how that's connected, but I was never gathered.
Never,
Until
yeah.
She said that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything about certain.
Right.
Why would I know?
And I thought when we gone through that, I thought, I was like, I think that's maybe that's skateboarding, you know, or, and like I had the board right, but it was not, it was the wrong board.
Yeah, like that skateboarding thing, I did
Yeah.
a good job.
Yeah. Okay, if you could, One person from each group. Can you assign a speaker from one person from each group who wants to speak? Decide now. Do we need a rock, paper, scissors this? In the district tradition? Yes, that's what we're doing. In the district tradition, I'm gonna need a rock, paper, scissors. Let's go. Ready? I'm ready. Let's go. Rock, paper, scissors. Who's speaking? Okay, don't worry.
We go 3? No,
She said, I thought I got out of there. Ready? Go. Do we have our winners? Did y'all even do it? You don't get to do that. If kids can't do that, you can't do that. Okay? All right, this first group, would somebody please share one aha moment that y'all had or that y'all talked about?
Okay, so we want to make sure that these kids are making connections every single time.
Yes.
Just to use what they already know, all that background, all that experiences are going to help them create more synaptic connections
Yes.
in brains.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. That group.
I think we were all in agreement with the brain processes information more effectively through patterns. Like I hadn't heard of it being through patterns, but I've heard of it being through connections and fragmentation. So that was something, that was an eye-opener.
Yes, I love that. And what do we do right now in our district that has to do with patterns? Patterns of power. Oh, we're making it make sense. Okay, in this back group, please, and go and share.
You can just base it off of what they said, right? It's all patterns, and the more you can connect new material
Yes.
and build on top of it, pretty much make everything all unified. Which you can do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. And last.
Ditto patterns. The more you build off of it in your life, the more you see it, the more you are able to make new connections.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so this is kind of bringing us into, if you've noticed, I know that it's been difficult to kind of get into our curriculum since y'all are new to the district and or coming back into the district and looking at what we're doing. But we really want to teach in thematic units. So the reason we do this is because it helps build deeper connections for our kids. And if we build a deeper connections for our kids, they're going to internalize that better, that information better, which allows them to then process and put that information back out, right? It increases engagement because they can connect and relate to what you're doing, right? If kids can't relate or connect to what you're teaching in your classrooms, then they're not going to be engaged. They're disconnected. So if you want that engagement piece, you've really got to find ways to bring connections that are personal to them to help support their involvement in your instruction. And then of course, lasting learning, right? The more we know, the more we continue, the more we build on our patterns, the longer we're going to remember that information and be able to use that later on. So you just want to make sure that as we're moving through our units that we're really connecting back to our themes for that unit and that we're really connecting our student learning to the ideas and the text that we're reading so that when you're talking about ideas later on, they can be like, oh yeah, I remember that lesson that we discussed, right? So just as you're planning today, you'll have some time for planning, just really keep those thematic units in mind, okay?